Okay, today we're going to start at the Mishnah on Chafes. It's 28. It's in the middle of the page. It starts with Ba'ad Masei Chayav Lahachris. Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. And then this Cheshuvah learning, we should have this Mikdash immediately. And the learning in the Lilei Nishmas. Sahava Golda Bas Baruch Binyamin. Also Refuah Shleima, for anyone that needs Refuah Shleima.
And in the memory of Shner Zalman Vilshansky.
Oh, who is that?
Morristown.
Oh, I didn't know.
A group died in MS yesterday.
Okay. Okay. So it's here. Mishnah starts. Ba'ad Masei Chayav Lahachris. Until when? How long does a person have to announce an item that he found? It says Ad Kadesh Yitzbay Shcheinav, Divrei Reb Meir, until his neighbors should know. That long. Okay. We'll see. That's Divrei Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says Shalosh Regalim, 3 festivals. And after the 3rd festival, he has to wait another 7 days, so that people should be able to go to the house shleisha, which takes 3 days. B'yachzer shleisha, in return, which takes 3 days, same distance, home and, 1 way in return. B'yachzer yom echad, and then to announce. Interesting that he says v'yachris. He's not the guy that's announcing. The guy that's going home is the guy that's looking if he was the one that lost any items. Okay, I mean, it probably means that the day of announcing would be that one day, and then he would be able to say that I was the one that lost it. We're talking about that the 3rd holiday, when someone says, I have an item here that I found. If anyone lost an item, check if it's theirs. So people would go home to see if they lost an item, and then they would come back and see what they're missing. And then they would announce it. Then, not that they would announce it, but then when it was announced, then they would say, yeah, it was me. I lost the... Okay, in the opinion of Reb Meir, it says that you only have to announce it until the neighbors find out. Tana Shcheni Aveda, the Brisa taught, it's the neighbors of the person that found it. It's the neighbors of the lost item. What do you mean the neighbors of the lost item? If it's neighbors of the person that lost it, that's a little odd. Because if he knows who lost it, then why doesn't he just return it? It means it's neighbors of the location where the lost item was found. That area, that's the amount of time that you have to announce it. After that, you just put it aside. Doesn't mean you're allowed to keep it. Yeah. Doesn't seem like it. Right. They would announce it at the temple when people would come to the temple, so it would be like these international conferences. Rabbi Yehuda says that you would have to be for the 3 holidays. For a minute, 1 second. We have a problem because when Rabbi Yehuda says that it takes 7 days, 3 to go, 3 to return, and 3 to come back, and then 1 day for the announcing, says that's problematic because it says in Masechta Tainis, on the 3rd day of Cheshvan, they ask for rain. From Gamliel Emer Bezayin by. Gamliel says that they ask for rain on the 7th. Which is 15 days after the holiday. So that the last of the travelers should be able to return home. How long does it take to return home? 15 days. How long did it say in our Mishnah? 3 days. What's going on? Rav Yosef Leikash. Rav Yosef answers this question. If it's 15 days to return home or 3 days to return home, it depends. In the first base of Mikdash, it took 15 days. There were much more people. Second base of Mikdash, it only took 3 days. Mikdash Rishon didn't appreciate Yisrael Tuva. In the first base of Mikdash, there were a lot of Jewish people. Ksivu, Yudav Yisrael, Rabim, Kechol Asher Alayam, L'Roiv, Kulei. Judah and Israel were so many that it was like the sand on the sea to their multitude. So that's why they needed 15 days. The Mikdash, but in the second base of Mikdash, Lenafish Yisrael Tuva, there weren't a lot of people. Ksivu, Kolakol Kechad, Kechad Arba, Rivoi, Kolakol Kechad Arba, Rivoi, Alafim, Shalish Meyes, Veshishim. Abba Riba Alpayim Shalish Meyes, that's 42,600. I think it says actually 42,650. Was that what it says? 42,360, yeah. 42,360. I don't know where I got that 50 from. 42,360. So Leibin and Kulehai, there's only 42,000. That's not that's just so little. So few people returned from Babylonia to Israel. Okay, we have a good teretz. Amalei Abaya says, "Vaksiv vayeshuva hakayinim alavim amshirim b'meshuarim v'chol Yisrael ba'areim." It's a big problem. Abaya says, I don't care how many people there are, but they turn to their same locations. That's going to be the same distance. Whether the town is the occupancy of the town is 1,000 people or it's 10 people, it's the same distance from Yerushalayim. If they're returning to the same town, so given the Hachiyo, and if that's the case, then they have to say the answer is exactly the opposite. Mikdash Risha, and then if Yisrael Tuva, the Mitzavis Alma, Mishtachti Shire Sadas Ben Mama Ben Belelia. In the first base of Mikdash, there were so many people traveling that they could accompany you and they could travel. The caravans would travel by day and by night. Leibin Kuli High. You can make it very quickly. It was enough for 3 days. Mikdash Sheni, the land of Yisrael Tuva. In the second base of Mikdash, there weren't so many travelers. The planes and the trains weren't so frequent. So there weren't so much accompaniment. So it was hard to find caravans. That can go by day and by night. That's where you need 15 days. So we just switched the whole answer around. In the second base of Mikdash, it would take much more time because it was hard to find caravans. That's why it took 15 days.
But in the first Beit HaMikdash, people lived in Bavel?
No, it means to the edge of the Har Pras, which would be the north of Israel, also has the Nahar Pras.
Oh, north of it.
Yeah. Nahar Gadol, Nahar Pras. Why is it Nahar Gadol? I think because it borders Israel. Yeah. Okay. Rava Amar, Leishna Mikdashish and Leishna Mikdasheni, Layatricho Rabbanan Bavidi Yismidai. Rava says, no, you're giving me a teretz of the amount of caravans and this and that. That's not what's necessary here. When it comes to actually people traveling and praying for rain and all of that, yes, it's 15 days. But when it comes to calling out a lost item, they didn't bother the guy that's calling out the lost item to wait 15 days. It would probably have to be 30 days because we'd have to go and return. So they didn't bother him. They bothered him for 7 days. He had to wait. Amar Ravina. Ravina says, Shma Mina. See from this, Imachres. When he announces, Glima Machres. Actually has to announce, not just that I found an item, and everyone should check what any item that they lost. but he announces exactly which item it is that he found. I found a shirt. Because if he doesn't say that, if he just says, I found a lost item, everyone has to go home and find go search through all their possessions. Then we would have to add an extra day for the person to go search through all his things. Have to do a Pesach cleaning and search through, okay, how many shirts do I have? Okay, I had 7 shirts. I only have 6. Or maybe he had 7, but he'd have to look through his pants. And how many pants? Okay, I have 2 pairs. Okay, how many socks? 12 pairs of socks, right? Used to say, they joked that a rich person, they had one shirt. That's what they had. They said a rich person has a shirt for every day of the week. 7 shirts. So an even richer person, he can change his shirt several times a day. So, what are you going to do with all the extra money? Anyway, okay. Ella Shmamina, obviously Glima Machers. Obviously, they're not announcing just plain lost item, but they're actually saying exactly what it is, so you can go and check what it is that he lost, and say a pot or a pan. Shmamina, okay, that's he says is clear. Rava says if you take Avidasa Machers, Rava says the same answer that he said before. It could be really that they're announcing that lost just an item. I found something. Everyone has to go home to check if it's a shirt or a sock or a watch. But they don't bother the person any extra time. So that's why he only is obligated to wait that amount of time. If you think it's your item, you're gonna have to go find him. But he's gonna wait in Yerushalayim just that amount of time. Started in Brisa that regal rishon, I'm a regal rishon. When the person is making the announcement, he has to say that this is the first time I'm announcing it. And everyone will know that he has another 2 times. Regal sheni, I'm a regal sheni. He says, this is my 2nd time announcing it, and you only have 1 more time. Regal shlishi, at the 3rd holiday, I'm stam, he doesn't say anything. Why doesn't he say that it's the 3rd holiday? People are going to hear that shin. They're going to say, it's the sh, and they're not going to get it exactly. They're going to think, oh, he said it's the 2nd one. That's why they don't say anything. So it says sheni nami, asi lachlufi berishin. But that's also, there's a shin in the other one also. He may say that when it says, he announces that it's the 2nd one, they may think that he really said rishin. So, but the Gemara says, don't worry about that. Hakasi regal shlishi. There's still a 3rd holiday that he can come, so that's not a problem. So basically, someone would come to the temple, he would hear that someone has found a lost item. When he goes home, he could really search his whole house and see if it was him. See if he was the one that lost it. When he comes back the 2nd time, he can say, is it my thing? It's only on the 3rd time that he waits a little bit extra just to give that leeway for someone to go find out. Originally, anyone that found an item would announce it for 3 holidays. So that afterwards he would go home. So it was on 7 days, which means 3 days there, 3 days back, and then he would announce it. However, since the destruction of the temple, which should be rebuilt immediately in our days, that's why the Rambam, when he writes, remember he says, he mentions the Beis Hamikdash. He says, something like that. So just like in the Mishnah, there's actually a Mishnah like that in Pirkei Avos that says basically when you mention it, you're supposed to say that it should be immediately rebuilt. Hiskino, they instituted after the destruction, they instituted that it should be announced in the shuls and in the base medrash. But once the anasim, how do they translate anasim? What is it? Oppressors. When that came about, they instituted it's enough just to tell your neighbors and your friends, and that's enough. What are these oppressors? The oppressors are the ones that said that if anyone finds a lost item, you have to give it to the king. Whoa. Then it was dangerous to announce a lost item, a found item. Confiscators, okay. Rabbi Ami Ashka Chudi the dinner. Rabbi Ami found a purse of gold coins. Chazia hu barnash the kamirtas. He sees. Oh, I have on the side barima. That was frightened. Amalei, he said, Zil shkol nafsha. Go take it. The lav parsayanan, the amri avidas lamalka. We're not Persians. Oh, Chazi barnash to kamirtas. There was a person that saw that he was scared, and the person tells him, "Go take it for yourself, because I'm not a Persian. We don't say that that it goes to the king. We say that you can keep it." I guess the Romans were different than the Persians. If you have to give your treasures to the king, you find the treasure. The Persians said yes, the Romans said no. So this guy that saw him was a Roman. Tanurabanan, yeah? What do they have there?
No, it's in the Romans have better words. I'm sure you find anything today in Rome, you have to give it to people. No,
Romans, Italy. Yeah. There was a Eben Tayan, a stone that was called Eben Tayan. Tayan means to claim. I'm not sure why is it called Eben Tayan. A claimant. Okay, let's see. Anyone that lost an item, Niftan Lasham would go to that place. Anyone that found an item would go to that place. This one would stand and announce that he found something. This one would stand and he would give the signs for it. And would take it. And this is that Mishnah that we have. Also in Tainus, go and check if the Eben Atayan was covered. I think that's talking about when Chenia Magal davened for rain, circle maker, and then it
storm.
Right. Is that what it says? Is that Mishnah?
Yep.
He said, see if the Eben Atayan was covered with water. Okay. The new Mishnah. If the person that was claiming the lost item, he said what it was, but he wasn't able to say its signs. Then you don't give it to him. But if it's a liar, then you can't give it to him even if he gives the signs. Because we have in the pasuk it says until your brother seeks it out, and we said what? We're gonna give it to him. Give it to your brother before he seeks it out. And with the Gemara learned that says it's not your brother seeks it out, but you seek out your brother to see if he's a liar or not. You don't give it back even if he has the signs if he's a liar. It means even if you have a guy that you know is a liar, he's wearing a shirt that says liar. So you don't give him back a lost item, even if he can tell you what the identifying marks are. Right. The only way to know if a man is honest is to ask him. He says yes, he's a liar. Yeah, he would need witnesses. Right.
So if a person lost something and said these are the signs, whatever, he said it was his and it really wasn't. So he wasn't honest. And so let's say there's another time when he's a liar. But how do we
know the first time that he's a liar?
No, how do we know if he repented or not? Don't we give someone another chance?
Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Like 3 times.
Right.
Like he's the first suspect next to him.
Right.
With this,
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say the second. I don't know. I'm not sure how long it takes to be established that he's a liar. Steals once or something. Yeah. By the witnesses this one time. They said this one country, everyone over there was thieves. So they wanted to prove to the world that they weren't thieves. So they made this whole big fair. And they put all these delicacies on the tables. And they said, we're going to turn off the lights. We're going to show you that no one over here steals. We're going to count to 10. We'll turn them back on. You'll see everyone is... Anyway, they put all the people in the room. All the delicacies are there. They turn off the lights. They count to 10. They flip the switch, and someone had stolen the light bulb. Okay. It's my. It says like this. Rav Yehuda says, Avedasa Machras. What we mentioned before, where Ravina says, oh, obviously they're announcing the glima, announcing that whoever lost the shirt, right? They would actually give the name, the type of item that was lost. This is actually a machlekes between Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. Rav Yehuda says Avedasa Machras, that you don't announce that what you found. You don't say that I found the shirt. That's going to open it up to everyone, that everyone's going to start guessing. You're saying I found something, and now did you lose something? What did you lose? Yeah, and Rav Nachman Rav Nachman says no. He announced that I found the shirt, and then you see. Okay, Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda says that you announced that I found a lost item. If you say that I found the shirt, then maybe a liar is going to come up and say, different types of shirts, whatever. Rashi says that maybe he heard a friend of his saying that I lost my shirt, I lost my garment, and the guy happens to know which one it is. So he's going to go and announce it, and he's going to go and not announce. He's going to know and say, "Oh yeah, it has pink stripes on it." So okay, Rav Nachman, and the guy's a liar. Nachman says, "I'm not concerned about that. You can announce the shirt. I'm not concerned for liars. If you're concerned for liars, ain't l'davar safe. Then you should always be concerned for liars. So therefore, we have to ignore that. Just have to have someone say that this is the item that it was. Tanan, start in the Mishnah. Person that's coming to claim the item, he says what type it was. That means he says that it was a shirt, but he can't say the signs on it. Then you don't give it to him. If this all makes sense, if the person only the finder announces that I found a lost item, the chiddush is, even though the guy says, yeah, it was a shirt, but nevertheless, you don't give it back because he couldn't tell me what type of shirt, what the identifying marks are. But according to Rav Nachman, that the person announces a shirt. So Amar Yu Glima. So that one guy stands up and says, I found the shirt. And the person that lost it says, I lost the shirt. Do you have to tell us, is there any chiddush that if he doesn't know the identifying marks on it, that you don't give it back to him? He didn't tell us anything other than repeat the words of the finder. Rav Safra says, really, it could be that according to Rav Nachman that they announced that he found the shirt. Amar Yu Glima, the guy says, I found the shirt. And the person says the signs on it. When the Mishnah says he doesn't say the signs, it doesn't mean he doesn't say the identifying marks at all. He didn't say the very identifiable signs, those that are clear that there's a dot and on top of such and such a letter. But they were able to say the color, there's something, but that's not enough. Okay. But if there's a liar, then you don't give him, even if he says the signs. Originally, originally, call me anyone that lost the item, he would say the signs and he would take it. When there was an increase of liars, then they instituted, you have to go bring witnesses that you're not a liar, and then you can take it. Rav Papa, he lost the donkey, and it was found. Asalakami the Rabba Baravuna comes to Rabba Baravuna. Malay, he says to him, go bring witnesses that you're not a liar, and take it. Azalaisi Sadi. He went and he brought witnesses. Amalahu. So Ravuna says to them, Yidatim Bey Duramayu. Do you know that he's a liar? Amalayin. He said, yes. Amalahu. Ana Ramayana. I'm a liar. Amalay. Anan Lav Ramayat. I mean, we meant to say that you're not a liar. Amarabba Baravuna. So Rabba Baravuna says, not Ravuna, Rabba Baravuna. He says, you see, there's a problem. If someone testifies in court and then he wants to say, that's not what I said, I'm saying something else. The problem is called Kivin Shehigid Shuvay Nechazer Magid. You can't change your testimony. So over here, they said, you know that he's a liar? They said, yeah. They said, I'm a liar. I said, no, we said that he's not a liar. So now, basically, what happened is they're changing their testimony. That's so problematic. But Rabbi Baravuna says no. And they explained that when you asked us, he's a liar, we thought you were asking that regular question that you know that he's not a liar. That's what we said, yes. Yeah.
So the person won't bring
It happens all the time. People say, do you mind bringing me the thing? And they say yes. And they didn't mean, do you mind that they mind? They mean that no problem. Said yes. No, they're not answering the question. They're answering the topic.
Yeah, Rav Papa's not going to bring witnesses to say that he's a liar, right?
Right. So that was what Rabbi Baravuna said. It's probable that he never would have brought these witnesses if that's what they were going to say. He brought witnesses that are going to testify to his integrity. What is that?
I asked him if when he cross-examines people, he says, "Do you mind?"
Yes.
Answers like that.
There's actually a discussion in when the Torah was given, at the Ten Commandments, if the people said yes to everything, or if they said yes to the yeses and no to the no's. If you were to say yes, or say, I tell you the story in the mikveh. Someone was the rule is when someone converts that you have to ask them, you have to notify them about the mitzvahs while they're converting, while they're going in the water. So they ask them questions. They say, do you accept on yourself to keep the Torah? And the person says yes. So there was one person in the water that was very, it's a true story, was really excited about this. And I'm not sure if his English was perfect, but anyway, they said, you accept on yourself the Torah? He says, yes. He screams. He says, okay, well, let's talk about some, are you allowed to drive on Shabbos? He says, yes. And I was like, okay, but let's start over.
Square one.
Make sure we got this
All
right.
the way back.
But that was probably what the Jewish people were doing when the giving of the Torah, when they were shouting, yes, like they said yes even to the no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anything that can do some work to pay for its own existence. So when you find an item like that, let's say an animal that works, so you have to feed it. So, but the animal does work, so don't worry about it. It does work, and you feed it, and it pays for itself. So yasav eichel, you let it do the work, and then it feeds itself. In other words, the finder does not have to, dig into his bank account to support this animal that he found. But if it doesn't, all it does is eat. So then you should sell it, so that, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up charging the guy, I took care of your animal, and it did nothing for me, and now you owe me all of this. Basically, what was the point of you holding on to it for him just to give him a bill? It says you should return it to him. You should see to it that it gets returned. How to return it to him? You should only return it. You should only take care of it in a way that he's going to actually get the value back. If this is an item that you have to sell, what do you then do with the money? Tarfon says you use the money. It's like you get to borrow from it and spend it, and you pay it back when the guy shows up. But if that's the case, if you lose it, then then you have to take your full responsibility. If you borrow money, you can't say you can't borrow money and then say I'm so sorry I lost it. It doesn't work like that. You have to pay it back. Rabbi Kiva says that you cannot use that money. You have no right to that money. But therefore, if it gets lost, then you're not responsible for it. Yeah, stolen or lost. We're going to see the details about this. This is a problematic Mishnah, and so we clarify. Because I don't know if you remember from Baba Kama, it was a Machlekes de Rabba and Rabbi Yosef. If someone finds a lost object, is he considered a Shemer Chinim or a Shemer Sachar? Rabba held that he was a Shemer Chinim, and Rabbi Yosef held that he was a Shemer Sachar. It's a paid watchman. How was he paid? Well, one opinion that he was paid is because if a poor person shows up, he doesn't have to give him bread, and so he's paid by being absolved of giving tzedakah to a poor person. So he's getting an income based on doing this mitzvah. So he's a paid watchman, and therefore he's obligated if it gets stolen. That's what Rabbi Yosef's view. According to the Mishnah is problematic because it says im avdu, if it gets lost, you're not responsible. What do you mean you're not responsible? Rabbi Yosef says you're responsible. We'll see, and the Gemara is going to ask this question. Oh yeah, it could be. It's a discussion in a few places in Sukkah, and I don't remember by the get that he was exempt from a mitzvah. Say that.
I think it was like a positive thing that he didn't have to do another mitzvah.
Huh. I don't remember that. Okay.
And here, if the person is going to be fully responsible for this animal, people won't take an animal that they find out. It's a big responsibility.
Right.
Taking this cow,
Right.
the cow like in the middle of the night, like
Right.
breaks a fence of leaves, then you're in bed, and you had you're not going to profit anything from taking in this cow.
Right. Right. It's a problem. You don't profit from it. This is just a. Right. Oh, and the children, women. Yeah. This becomes a problem. If someone finds a lost item, you think, see, that's the one of the lessons of this is that you think when you find an item, you think that you say, oh, and now I got rich, I have a treasure. Turns out anything that you find becomes a huge obligation. You would rather not find anything. I don't want any, if I find something, I'm in trouble. You walk in the streets with your eyes closed. You don't want to.
Because they were like, oh, you're not allowed to walk by something that.
Right. Well, in the Torah it says that you can't pass by, and okay. The Gemara now says, "Lailam, what are you going to do? You're going to take care of this animal forever?" Even that cow that's actually doing work that could plow your field, you still only have to hold on to it for 12 months. Now, the reason why you would hold on to it, not just sell it right away, why don't you just sell it right away and give because the owner doesn't want to have to train in a new animal. He wants his animal that he knows. So we say, hold it for 12 months, and then you should trade it in. That way, if the guy's showing up, was taught. So in a brisa, called over anything that works and eats, for example, a cow or a donkey, you can work with it. You work with it for you deal with it for 12 months. After that, you just evaluate its value and then you put the money aside. If it's a calf of a cow or a calf of a donkey, I don't know what you call a little donkey. Is there a word for that?
Donkey.
A donkey. Okay. What is it? Yeah, okay, young donkeys. In Yiddish, everything is le, like Avrem le, like David le. Okay, so 3 months instead of 12 months for them. They don't do work. Why do you have to hold on to it for so long? really, if it doesn't do work, you should sell it right away. Here it says 3 months. Okay, sounds like a little bit long. Let's see. We're gonna have another opinion shortly. Another price.
Here, where it says 3 months, it says 30 days.
Yeah, you'll see. The Gemara is gonna ask that. Avazim v'tanagoyim, if it's geese and roosters, then it's only 30 days. After that, some demim menichim. After that, you evaluate the money and you just put it aside. If it's not a rooster, if it's a hen, that's kebehei magasa. That's like a large animal which you keep for 12 months because that supplies you with eggs. That's a different story. Okay. Tani nami hachi. Taught in a brisa. Tanagoylas kebehei magasa. If it's a rooster, this is actually taught in a brisa exactly. But Rav Nachman Yitzchak says if it's a rooster or a large animal, 12 months. After that, some demim menicham, you just put it aside. Agalim v'siyachim. Now here it says if it's these calves or young donkeys, it's only 30 days. That makes more sense, right? If it's these roosters or geese, anything that's more work than its income, it's only 3 days. And after that, you put it, you put the money aside. Kasha agalim v'siyachim, agalim v'siyachim. There's a contradiction over here between the two brises. One said 3 months and one said 30 days. Avazim v'tanagolim, avazim v'tanagolim. There's a contradiction by the geese and the roosters. One says 30 days, one said 3 days. Agalim v'siyachim, agalim v'siyachim like kasha. We can answer the question between the young calves and the young donkeys. The raya, the pituma. It depends where he's living. If he's in an area where there's a lot of pasture, so then it's not a lot of work. So let it go out and graze. It's not a problem. We'll graze. The pituma means that you have to actually feed it. So then that's only 30 days. Right? If it's roosters or geese, that's not like kasha baravri or bazuchi. It depends. If they're large ones, then it would be only 3 days because they eat a lot and they make a big mess. And bazuchi, if these little ones eat very little, eat like a bird. And they and that would be 30 days. Okay, anything that doesn't do work. Tanu Rabbana starting the brayso of Ashivai, you return it to him. You should see how to return it to him. That you shouldn't end up that the calf that you found shouldn't consume his own value. Or his own value, a young donkey for a young donkey. Of avzal or geese for geese, tanagelim roosters for roosters. You're gonna end up giving back nothing because they consume. What do you do with the money? Rav Tarfon says you can use it, and therefore you're obligated, you're responsible. And Rabbi Kiva said that you can't use it, and therefore you're not responsible if it gets lost. Ad kanlei pligi, the Gemara says. Until now, we're not arguing al kishin shtamish bem. That's only, it says kishin shtamish means. The whole machlokes over here, if you're responsible or not, is only if you're allowed to use it, right? Based on if you're allowed to use it, that's why we're going to know if you're responsible. But if you're not allowed to use it, if it gets lost, then pater, then you're going to be exempt. Now, this is a problem because this is going to be a question on the opinion of Rabbi Yosef that I mentioned when we were learning the Mishnah. That we had in Baba Kama, the Itmar was stated like this: Shemer Aveda. If someone finds a lost object, and now he's trying to return it, what's his obligation? What's his responsibility level? Rabba Amar Kashem Mechinim. Rabba says he's a Shemer Mechinim, a non-paid watchman, which means he's only responsible for negligence, but anything else he's exempt. Rabbi Yosef says he has a higher level of responsibility. He's like a paid watchman. If it gets lost or stolen, he's obligated. So, problem over here is that our Mishnah is saying that he's exempt, according to Rabbi Akiva, since he's not allowed to use that money. That's a kasha on Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says he's not exempt if it gets lost, even if he's not allowed to use the money. Every Shemer Aveda, you're not allowed to use the item. It's not your item. Right? It's only after you sold it that there's these different. But every Aveda, you're not allowed to use it. And nevertheless, he says you're responsible. So it doesn't fit with Rabbi Yosef. Amalach Rabbi Yosef would answer. Everyone agrees that you're chayiv if it got lost or stolen. Ki pligi, what's the machlekes between Reb Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva is ba'inz in the shul, is regarding if it's an accident, an unpreventable circumstance, regarding a borrower. Tarfon says he becomes a borrower, and therefore he's responsible for unpreventable circumstances as well. Rabbi Kiva so Rabbi Kiva says you're not allowed to use it, you're not a borrower, and therefore you're exempt from, you're not a shayl, but you're still a shemer sachar. And he says everyone would agree to that. That's how Rabbi Yosef would explain. Everyone would agree that you're a paid watchman. If that's the case, there's a huge question over here that the Gemara is going to ask in a moment. But before it gets to that huge question, the huge question is that the Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah says avdu, it got lost. It doesn't say ansu. But before it gets to that, it has another question that it wants to go through first. It says, if that's the case, lefikach tam Rabbi Akiva lamali. Why do I need Rabbi Akiva to say, therefore, if it gets lost, you're not chayiv. If they're arguing between Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, arguing if it gets stolen or lost, that's what it's taught. That Rabbi Akiva says that you can't use it. He argues on Rabbi Tarfon. And therefore, if it gets lost, that you're not responsible. Now, because why would I think I was responsible? What Rabbi Kiva would have been saying is that therefore, if it gets lost, you're not responsible, because you could have thought that maybe anyone that finds a lost object is really a shemer sachar. Comes along Rabbi Akiva, like Rabbi Yosef holds, comes along Rabbi Akiva and says he's not a shemer sachar, he's a regular shemer chinam. I could have thought that he should really chayiv anyway, even though he's not allowed to use it. So kamashman lefikach, therefore Rabbi Akiva says lefikach that he's not a shemer sachar. But and now that you said that you can't use it, shemer sachar leihavi v'lei mechay b'gneva v'aveda. You're not considered a shemer sachar. You're only a shemer chinam. Okay. But if everyone holds that you're chayiv on gneva aveda, everyone agrees to Rabbi Yosef. So keep pligi daints in the shul, and they're only arguing about an unpreventable circumstance regarding a borrower. My lefikach to Rabbi Akiva. So why does Rabbi Akiva have to say, therefore, if it gets lost, you're not responsible? It should have said the following. Rabbi Akiva says he can't use it, and then it's obvious. Obviously, if he can't use it, he's not a borrower. Therefore, why does Rabbi Akiva need to conclude, say, therefore, you're not responsible? The Gemara answers, what kind of question is that? It's just being symmetrical, making it parallel to Reb Tarfon. Tarfon says, you're allowed to use it, therefore you're responsible. Kiva says you're not allowed to use it, therefore you're not responsible. So it's just making it parallel. If he's allowed to use it, he's a borrower. And if he's not allowed to use it, then he's not a borrower. So the Gemara is asking, why does Rabbi Kiva have to say if he's not allowed to use it, he's not a borrower? Why does he have to say that? Of course, if he's not allowed to use it, he's not a borrower. He's not, and therefore he's not responsible. But now the Gemara says, okay, but you wanted to make it symmetrical. So now we opened up a new question. So lefikach Reb Tarfon lamali. So why does Reb Tarfon have to say you are allowed to use it? You are a borrower and you're responsible. Why does he have to say that therefore? But why does Reb Tarfon need to say it? Obviously, if he's allowed to use it, he's a borrower and he's responsible. Hachi kamar. This is what it means to say. Given the shara Rabban l'shtamushi begavayu, Reb Tarfon has a chiddush. Commander shtamushi begavayu adam l'chay b'achar yusin. Reb Tarfon's chiddush is that even if you never get around to using that money, you're still considered a borrower because you are allowed to use it. That's a chiddush. Now that Reb Tarfon says that just the fact that you're allowed to use it automatically makes you responsible. Now Rabbi Kiva says you're not allowed to use it, and therefore you're not responsible. Now it's just to be symmetrical with Reb Tarfon. The Gemara now asks the main question, the big question over here is, how did you ever say that they're arguing according to Rabbi Yosef about if it was an unpreventable circumstance when the Mishnah itself says, im avdu, if it got lost, Va'avdu Katani. Mishnah says im avdu. It got lost. It doesn't say if it a big accident, unpreventable circumstance. Where it says Kid Rabba. That's not a big question. We can answer the way Rabba answers this. That's the Amar Rabba Nignavu, when it says it got stolen, that means ballistic mizuyim, that means it's an armed robbery. And Avdu, when it says it got lost, Shetavas Finas Bayam, that means that this boat sunk in the sea, which both of those are unpreventable circumstances, category. And therefore, we're able to read the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Yosef, that no one holds that he's a Shemer Chinam. Everyone holds he's a Shemer Sachar. The whole machlek is about Avdu, was a type of Avdu that's Ba'inus. I'm Rabbi Yudam Shmuel. Yudam says in the name of Shmuel, Allah Reb Tarfon. The Allah is like Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon held that you're allowed to use the money, and therefore you're responsible. Biyad, I don't know how to read this. Beirachva. In the house of Rachva, Havalo Hani Zuzi Diasmi. There was this money that belonged to orphans, and he was taking care of it. Asalakami de Rav Yosef. Comes to Rav Yosef, Amalahu, Malish the Mushi Begavai. Am I allowed to use that money? That is sometimes they have these trustees of the estates. Are they allowed to use that money if they put it back?
Self-dealing, not without consent, permission.
Need consent. Okay.
Yeah, you have to sign something every year as a lawyer saying that that the money is separated.
All those escrow accounts that the lawyers
Escrow,
are.
yeah.
So, Amarley, is that what it is? You check a box.
Right, Dan? Daniel, you just check the box?
Exactly.
Okay. Amalei Hachi Amar Rav Yudam Shmuel Halacha Reb Tarfon. Rabbi Yosef tells him, yeah, the halacha is like Reb Tarfon. You're allowed to use that money. Amalei Abaya says to Rabbi Yosef, one second. You can't quote Reb Tarfon in this because Reb Chelbe says in the name of Rav Huna, that's only when you had a lost item that it was sold. Because you had to go and bother yourself to go ahead and sell it. In other words, you found roosters, and then you sold it so that it doesn't consume itself. So you have to go and find a buyer. So we say that you're allowed to use that money, and as long as but you're responsible to repay it. But money that was actually found. So the late tarachbo that you had no bother to just put it aside, that you're not allowed to use. And so this money that belongs to those orphans is not something that you had to sell something in order so that it doesn't get lost. You don't have to sell anything. That was their money. So you're not allowed to use that. Amalei, Rabbi Yosef says, Zil, tells to Rachva, it says, go, they're not letting me permit it. The Abaya is stopping me from permitting this for you.
Stopping.
Yeah, he told him that you can't use that heter that Rabbi Yosef had. He says that doesn't apply over here. You cannot use it.
What if there's inflation, so it comes back a year and it's not worth very much?
Yeah, it's a problem. Okay.
Would it be like at the time that it was lost?
Sorry?
Would it be
Oh yeah. If you're allowed to use it. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I'm not sure. Okay, let's leave it over here. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it tonight to learn, but we're on the right page.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have
Have a good day. Have a good day.